The year was 1846, and the Austria Empire stood at the zenith of its power. Its boundaries spanned vast lands, each territory rich with history, art, and secrets. Vienna, the empire's gleaming capital, was a hub of innovation and culture, its palaces brimming with grandeur. But beyond the imperial facade lay whispers of something darker, stories shared in hushed tones over flickering candlelight. Adalbert Gruber, a scholar with a passion for forgotten lore, arrived in Vienna one stormy autumn night. He was called there by a cryptic letter bearing the seal of the Imperial Archives. It had been signed by an archivist, Franz Malz, whom Adalbert knew only by reputation. The letter hinted at a discovery, something ancient, tied to the empire's origins and shrouded in mystery. It spoke of a curse within the foundations, urging Adalbert to come quickly and help unravel its meaning. Intrigued, he packed his belongings and boarded the first carriage to the city. When he arrived, he found Franz waiting at the door of a crumbling archive building hidden in Vienna's back alleys. The archivist, a pale man with sunken eyes, wasted no time. He led Adalbert inside, through endless corridors of brittle scrolls and dusty tomes. Franz stopped at an iron door etched with unfamiliar symbols. "This is it," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. "What lies beyond is unlike anything we've ever seen. Be warned, Adalbert, what we uncover tonight might be dangerous to know." Adalbert's curiosity outweighed his fear. The door creaked open to reveal a dimly lit chamber. At its center stood a podium holding an aged manuscript. Its pages were inked with symbols that seemed to pulse faintly as though alive. "This is the Codex Impero," Franz explained. "It predates the Austria Empire by centuries. Legends say it contains the truth about the empire's rise, a truth the Habsburgs have hidden for generations." Adalbert reached for the manuscript. His fingertips brushed its surface, and an unnatural cold seeped into his skin. Ignoring the sensation, he opened the codex. The symbols on the page rearranged themselves, forming coherent words as if adapting to his mind. What he read chilled him. The codex told of an ancient pact made by a Habsburg ancestor, Wilhelm the Wretched, who had bargained with a shadowy entity known only as the Pallid One. Wilhelm, desperate for power and an empire that would span ages, had promised the Pallid One a tribute. But the text did not specify what the tribute was, only that the consequences of failing to uphold it would be dire. Franz, standing behind Adalbert, turned pale as he read over his shoulder. "There's more," Franz said, his voice trembling. He pointed to a passage describing a cycle. Every 70 years the tribute had to be renewed, or the empire's foundations would rot from within. Adalbert's stomach twisted as he did the math. "The last cycle was in 1776, he murmured. 70 years? Franz whispered. Adalbert's blood ran cold. It was 1846. As if on cue, the ground beneath them rumbled. Dust fell from the ceiling and a low groaning noise echoed through the building. "The tribute," Franz gasped, "is due. And it hasn't been paid." Their panic was interrupted by the sound of distant footsteps, growing louder. Franz grabbed a lantern, gesturing for Adalbert to follow him. They fled deeper into the archives, the manuscript clutched in Adalbert's trembling hands. The corridors seemed to stretch endlessly, and the light from the lantern flickered wildly. Shadows moved unnaturally along the walls, twisting and writhing like living things. Eventually they reached a hidden staircase spiraling downward. "There's a chamber beneath the archives," Franz said. "The codex might tell us how to fix this." They descended into darkness, the air growing colder with every step. At the bottom they found a vast hall filled with statues, marble effigies of Habsburg rulers, their faces eerily lifelike. Adalbert opened the codex again. The text shifted violently, forming jagged lines that took moments to settle into words. It revealed that the tribute required was not gold nor land but blood, a sacrifice of imperial lineage. "What does that mean?" Adalbert asked. Franz hesitated. "If the sacrifice isn't made, the empire itself will collapse." Before they could process this, the statues began to stir. Their heads turned toward the two men, stone faces cracking to reveal hollow eyes. A deep, guttural voice echoed through the chamber. The time has come. Where is the tribute? Adalbert and Franz froze. The statues advanced, their movements stiff but purposeful. The Habsburgs broke the pact, Adalbert said, holding up the codex. We're just scholars. We don't. Silence, the voice boomed. The pallid one emerged from the shadows, its form shifting constantly, a mass of featureless gray that exuded malice. You meddle with forces beyond your understanding, it hissed. If no Habsburg offers their life, the empire shall crumble. Desperate, Franz spoke. The emperor, he must be told. He could. It is too late, the entity replied. The foundations are already cracking. The rot has begun. As if to prove its point, the ground split open, revealing dark tendrils that coiled around the statues, dragging them into the abyss. Adalbert flipped frantically through the codex, searching for a solution. A final page formed before his eyes, its words glowing ominously. Sacrifice delayed is sacrifice doubled. Realizing the implication, Adalbert turned to Franz. We have to warn the emperor. If we can't stop this, the empire... The chamber began to collapse, stone falling around them. Franz shoved Adalbert toward the staircase. Go. Take the codex and go. What about you? I'll buy you time, Franz shouted, turning toward the pallid one. Tell the emperor what you've seen. Maybe he'll listen. Adalbert hesitated but obeyed, fleeing up the stairs as Franz faced the entity. The last thing Adalbert heard was Franz's scream, echoing through the collapsing archives. Adalbert emerged into the cold night, clutching the codex. Behind him, the archive building crumbled into rubble, leaving nothing but silence. He spent the next few days trying to reach the emperor, but every messenger he sent vanished without a trace. Rumors spread of cracks appearing in the imperial palace, of strange shadows stalking the halls. Adalbert realized the truth too late. The tribute would never be paid. The Austria Empire was doomed not by war or politics, but by its own foundation, a pact with an ancient force that now claimed its due. And as the empire crumbled, Adalbert could only watch, knowing he'd uncovered the truth, but powerless to stop it.